Well, how y'all doing this fine Sunday morning? I hope y'all having a blessed morning. I had to suck it up to make this video. I may have to pause it once or twice while I'm making it. Some people know that my kids were caught in that hurricane in North Carolina. They're in the Thomasville, Jacksonville area, about 150 miles out from Asheville, which was totally wiped off the map. Now, I didn't know that hurricane hit North Carolina. I knew about Florida. I heard about Georgia. But when I seen people in chat rooms start talking about North Carolina, I got in there and I started scrolling. And sure enough, and North Carolina was totally cut off from civilization, from the world altogether. All their roads and their bridges were taken out by the floods, and they were dumbing it down. The news, the officials, they were all avoiding it at first. They were dumbing it down. No doubt they didn't know what to do. They needed to get right in there and assess the damage. So I tried reaching out to my two sons, and my grandson is in North Carolina, in Thompsonville, and I couldn't get any reply. Couldn't get anything for several days. And then finally, my son made it to a Sheets. That's a big operation. They're going to have some gas generators going and probably their own Wi-Fi system. Now, internet was knocked down. It's still out in a lot of places there. And a hurricane took down trees. It's going to take down a cell phone tower. Okay. He was able to get a message to me saying that he was okay and told me that he was at the Sheets. I asked him if he had heard from his brother, and he hadn't heard from his brother. So it's been a long several days for me. It feels like forever. And I've only been able to sleep maybe an hour or two at the most because, and I have to be totally exhausted to do that. But they totally dumbed down the damage. There are still bodies floating, up to 900 deaths reported. And I started going online for what some people were able to make it someplace safer. And they compilated a list. People were compilating lists of people that were still alive who had survived. Pardon me. And they were taking it to places where they could find Wi-Fi, and they were posting the list so that people could get out some word to their family that they were still alive. And I was watching them religiously. So it's been a long few days. But this morning I got some good news. My son texted me, and he said my youngest son was finally able to reach out to him and let him know that he was okay, that there was flooding right in the town next to him that was pretty devastating, but he was okay. And I was glad to hear that my son was all right. It's been a long, it seems like forever, people. It seems like forever. It really does to a mother. And from what I understand, Biden he's just like abandoned everybody. I mean, he did an interview where he couldn't even remember the name of the hurricane that hit, okay, and made the statement that they were all okay and they should be satisfied with what they got. So a lot of the town officials have took over. From what I understand, I don't know if it's the governor of North Carolina still hasn't come forward with any information. It's like he's bailed on it altogether. Don't know what to do. That's a person that has something to hide right there. Okay. I read an article stating that FEMA has come forward and said they just don't have the funds for all this. And that pisses me off to no end, and let me tell you why. $150 billion went to illegal aliens to feed them, clothe them, put them up in motels. Hell, I don't even go to a motel. I'd love to get me into a motel with a jacuzzi, especially right now. And I can't afford it. And they're being put up in motels and given health care, and they're given a certain amount of money a month. And I've even seen them online complaining about what they consider a little bit of amount that they're being handed out free. While a lot of American citizens here are suffering, and elderly and veterans, disabled people. Yeah, and I don't think that's right. So my point is this: is it any wonder that FEMA don't have the funds for all this? When $150 million went out, a billion, sorry, went out to illegal aliens. They need to send them all back. Not that I am against helping people, but you take care of your own first. You take care of the American citizens first. Okay? And I think the whole purpose of that mess was to get votes. I think that whole thing was political. Now, from what I've read, this $750 FEMA payout to everybody is not to everybody, but only to people who were already on SNAP or some kind of assistance, state assistance. So, from what I've read so far, it's not everybody that's getting it. But the strike didn't help. Everybody was in arms about that. Even I put a video out there on that. I mean, what are you doing? Yeah, you deserve a raise. You have to take care of your family. And with the economy the way it is, I think everybody should get a raise. But this is not the time to go on strike. I mean, they had food in containers sitting on the docks rotting while there's people, victims of this hurricane, that the only way they're getting food is that the local stores are opening up their doors and sending stuff to donation centers. And they're taking care of their own. So DeSantis, I think up in Florida, uh, he looked disgusted in the interview. He said they weren't. FEMA was only like a bank account for them. Okay, uh, and but they were going to declare an executive law, put into place an executive law, and get the National Guard out there and get them strikers off them docks to get those food open, food open, those containers open. Pardon me, for the food for the hurricane victims there. One thing about that strike is the people who put it off are intending to take it up again in January. And the people know that. So even where I'm at right now in Arkansas, getting toilet paper is next to impossible. Everything is selling out because they know that's coming. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. And I don't know the whereabouts or what have you behind it, but I don't think people should pay federal taxes anymore. I don't. I think the amount of federal taxes that should be split between the people and the state, those funds should go to the state so that the state can prepare. Because a state knows if they're in a flood zone, what areas are in a flood zone. A state knows if they're in Hurricane Alley or what kind of storms they may get. The people in Tennessee up on mountains couldn't fathom being flooded out on top of a mountain, and they didn't even have to have flood insurance because they were up so high, but they still got flooded out. Tennessee got hit bad too, and they're still pulling people out of the mountains. And states should take that money and put it aside for those seasons. and hang on to it if they don't have a bad season, because you never know if you're going to have one the next season, because the state ain't showing up. The federal government is not showing up. And you got to take care of your own. Okay? Yeah, you love other people, you want to help other people, but you got to take care of your own. And if don't send that money to the federal government. They're living, pardon the expression, high on the hog. And that's all they care about. And that has never been more evident than now. So take the federal dollars and split them in half between the people, give people back some of their money. They need it. And let the states take the other part and prepare. Start their own FEMA. Every state should start their own FEMA. Pardon me. And take care of their own, because, again, never more was it so evident that the government ain't there. And Elon Musk come through for everybody that was in every state that got hit. He's providing Starlink for 30 days. But there's still a lot of people out there that don't even know that. That was one of the first things I did when I got that information, was I sent it to my son that did get a hold of me in his messenger, in case he should be able to hook up again to some kind of signal, that he would have that information. I am totally relieved that my youngest son has reached out to let everybody know that he's all right. And if he's all right, I know that my grandson's all right. Because he's a great father. He really is. And that would have been his first and foremost concern, would have been his son, my grandson. So I am stocking up the best that I can. I'm not overdoing it, but I'm going to be prepared. In January, I'm going to be prepared. And I hope that it don't get that far. I hope that they give them their raise and it's over with. Okay? But I will say that if you plan on cooking for the holidays, if you can get stuff like, canned goods like sweet potatoes and cranberries and, whatever you need for stuffing, your seasoning, you might want to start getting it. Because, it's totally sold. I had to wait 3 days for 12 rolls of toilet paper. And there's a Sam's Club right in the town that I live in. Their shelves were totally wiped out. Pardon me. Now, Arkansas gets most of its stuff by docks. We have rail, but a lot of it doesn't come by rail. Coffee's going sky high. I'm not saying go out and clear out the shelf. I'm saying prepare. You've got a couple months. Prepare. It's smart. It's biblical, right? The ants lay up for the cold weather months. It's biblical to use that kind of wisdom. They say that most people these days don't have enough food to last in their house for 3-4 days because they're so used to eating out. Have they forgotten what happened? The restaurants closed down, and then the shelves were cleared out. So I just suggest that you prepare. Better safe than sorry. Creature comfort's going to get hard too. That's one thing that does come in usually through the docks or some of your creature comforts, what so-called. So I'm relieved this morning. I'm very relieved that my son is all right, that he was able to finally reach out. We were hoping that was the problem because a lot of people still can't get signal. They can't get out. I knew the body toll was rising. That'll put you through the ringer, people. Don't think it won't. And prayers going out to all the families out there that are suffering, that still have loved ones that are missing. And I hope that the states have learned something through this experience, that they need to take care of their own. And somebody's going to hunt down that governor or mayor or whoever he is in North Carolina because they want to know why he ain't out there. Because the last thing I read, he's not out there doing anything. But they need to be held responsible. Okay? But the states need to take care of their own, because if anything the states learned was that the federal government, it ain't going to be there. It just ain't. Stop giving your money away to people who don't care about you when they're supposed to. We thank y'all for stopping in, for your thumbs up, for your comments, large or small. I appreciate them all. Prayers to everybody out there still affected by the storm. You all have a blessed day.